So I want to talk about doctoral virtual supervisory meeting, engagement optimization strategy. My names have already been said. I'm a lecturer, Department of Information Technology. I also coordinate linkages and international affairs at Kibabi University. So introduction, virtual meetings is not a new thing. It has been there. It has been used majorly by the industries, but virtual meetings can be used in distance education, telehealth, and even family setup meetings. The telecommunication infrastructure has witnessed rapid growth worldwide, and the same happens with advances in computing industry. So virtual interactions in higher education. Higher education has experienced many challenges in the recent past, ranging from inadequate funding and staffing. Doctoral studies, being part and parcel of higher education, have not been spared either. The challenges experienced in doctoral studies include insufficient number of staff with doctoral degrees to supervise doctoral students and inadequate funding for doctoral students, just to name a few. As a way of cutting costs, a number of doctoral students take their studies either on part-time basis or as online students. Recent emergence of COVID-19 has also made it difficult for physical interaction when most government put in restrictions. So virtual interaction was the only way. So about doctoral supervision, there is no gold standard model of graduate supervision which can be applied in all situations and across all disciplines. But effective supervision must be an evolving process that concentrates on meeting the needs of different students, programs, and administrative structures. To understand how to do online or virtual supervision, we need to go briefly go through the models of supervision. As I have on that table, there are various models. For example, one supervisor supervising one student, or one supervisor supervising students in a team. This one happens at undergraduate. Co-supervision, where a pair of supervisors are supervising an individual student, or they supervise students in a team. And then the other one is you can have a supervising team supervising an individual student, or supervising students in a team. It depends with the resources available in the university, the number of staff, the availability, the number of students, their specialization, and so on. But it is important to understand the model of supervision. After that, we also need to understand supervisor management styles. Broadly, therefore, pastoral, laissez-faire, contractual, and directional. They vary in terms of support and structure. Laissez-faire, low support, low structure. And then contractual, high support, high structure. So the virtual method or platform that will be used is also determined by the supervisory management style. Now, I want to talk about one style and then see how online tools can be used in this style. So I'll look at adaptive supervisory management. I'll first explain what pastoral is. Pastoral is low structure, but high support. Candidate has personal low management skills, but takes advantage of all the support facilities that are on offer. Supervisor provide considerable personal care and support, but not necessarily in a task-driven directive capacity. Now, this happens when the student is still trying to establish area of research. He doesn't know a lot, but then the supervisor gives direction and exposure to the student, though not well structured. The next is the laissez-faire, low structure, low support. Candidate has limited level of motivation and management skill. The supervisor is non-directive and not committed to high level of personal interaction. The supervisor may appear uncaring and uninvolved. Now, this one again is used in various phases of research, doctoral research, as I will show later on. Then the next one is the contractual. High structure and high support. Candidate highly motivated and able to take direction and act on initiatives. Supervisor able to administer direction and exercise good management skill and interpersonal relationships. It's most demanding in terms of supervisor's time. And then the last one is the directional, highly structured, low support. Candidate highly motivated and sees the necessity to take advantage of engaging in high structure activities, such as setting objectives, completing and submitting work on time, on initiative without taking advantage of institutional support, and supervisor has a close and relative and regular interactive relationship with the candidate, but avoid non-task issues. Now, whichever the approach you take, it is said that sticking only to one style may be problematic, as it may not synchronize well with the needs of the student or the project throughout the study. Gatfield in 2005 proposed a more flexible approach, which is here. So the first phase, this is at where the student is conceptualizing the problem. The best approach is laissez-faire and direction. Laissez-faire in that the student is given room to be creative and come up, conceptualize a problem and understand it well. They are given room to be creative. At the same time, the supervisor gives direction in terms of defining the problem, shaping the objectives, and so on. Pastoral applies to all levels or all phases. Pastoral applies to all phases. So the first phase, student limited focus, searching broadly for gap in the literature to discover a thesis topic. Supervisor limited involvement, little structure and support necessary, hence laissez-faire, but become more involved as the research takes shape. So phase one, this is the thesis subject, research domain, and research questions are formulated at this level. Okay, 1 to 2. Supervisor moves into offering more structure to aid in formal assisting the creation of the research design and aid in methodological development. Hence, the directorial style of supervision, while still providing pastoral care as necessary. Once we understand these phases, then we'll know which online tools to use to engage the student. Still at phase two, now phase two. Engagement, student is engaged in data collection and analysis. The supervisor, there's high level of support and high level of structure and most likely required with resultant movement towards the contractual quadrant while providing pastoral care as necessary. And then phase 3, student moves into write-up stage with reduced need of support and yet still have high need of structure. The supervisory styles moves back to directional position while providing pastoral care as necessary. So these are the approaches and the stages. Once they are understood well, then it's easy to map to the online engagement tool that will be more engaging. I can skip these others. Asynchronous supervision tools. Asynchronous this is where there's time difference, not in real time. Commonly used asynchronous application to communicate in supervisory are emails, discussion boards and discussion forums. These can be found on learning management systems, blogs, wikis, podcasts, and social media platforms. Social media can be Facebook, can be WhatsApp. The supervisor or the student sends the message and then the supervisor looks at it later on, not in real time. That is asynchronous supervision tools. These ones have been there, even if it is face-to-face, but still communication takes place through these applications. So, about virtual supervisory meeting, the supervisor and the student should focus on the two most important aspects. One, how to best support and engage students in the supervisory event or meeting. And then two, what approach, tools, or delivery ideas to use. When it comes to increasing engagement, virtual meetings follow most of the principles that apply to regular meeting. The only thing that is missing is that in-person moment. So, virtual supervisory meetings have challenges. Some of the challenges are boredom. We've looked at the approaches of supervision. Maybe a supervisor supervising several students. One may be paying attention, others are bored. Multitasking, either the supervisor or the student is doing something else besides participating in the meeting. And there are many other distractions. For virtual supervisory meeting to realize the intended output, the supervisors should put more emphasis on engagement design rather than on the process. Engagement is active participation, engaging the mind of the people in the online supervisory meeting. So there are two theories that can be applied in online or virtual supervisory meeting. I've named two. There is media richness theory. Media richness theory was developed by Daft and Legel 1986, and it puts emphasis on the nature of the information that needs to be conveyed as the guide for choosing technology to use in computer-mediated communication. Now, this theory is based on the premise that different channels pose varying degree of richness in the information that they give. Media attributes can be measured based on their ability to handle equivocality or uncertainty. The theory determines the richness of a media based on availability of immediate feedback. That is, does the media support two-way communication? Multiple cues, visual or auditory, language variety, and persona focus. That is, incorporates more personal feelings and emotions. So based on the 4 metrics, video conference is the second to face-to-face in terms of richness, but ahead of audio and text systems in that order respectively. We want to engage the student virtually, then the best option is to use video conference if face-to-face cannot be attained. And video conference is ahead of audio. The least engaging is text as used in emails. With respect to virtual supervisory interaction, the theory can be helpful in understanding which media are best for which tasks, and it also acknowledges interaction can be unidirectional. The limitation of media richness theory in evaluating the factors that shape individuals' perception of communication media led to the emergence of another theory, which is known as channel expansion theory. Now, channel expansion theory emphasizes the role of experiential factors with 1, organizational context, 2, communication technology channel, 3, messaging topic, and 4, communication participant. This was done by Carlos and Zimud in 1999. The theory posits that bandwidth of media grows over time as the user becomes familiar with it. That is, the effectiveness of media of communication grows with the time. Once the supervisor and the students uses the media consistently. This means that a less dense media could be developed into a dense media, providing that the parties using it are on the same level of learning curve for using it. For example, the use of online or virtual meetings has been enhanced, not enhanced, but adoption increased with the onset of COVID-19. Many institutions and individuals started using online channels or virtual channels. And as they continue using, they get to know much about the media. We talk of the affordances of the media. What other features that the media provides that can be used to enhance the communication? Four key experiential conditions that guarantee the achievement of the goal that will lead to the development of richness perception of media are experience with the channel, experience with the messaging topic, experience with organizational context, and experience with the co-participants. Now, channel expansion theory is relevant in virtual supervisory meetings because it can be used to convey a clear message on the essential elements in managing meetings with doctoral students with the objective of selecting a specific type of communication media. According to channel expansion theory, the perception of the media richness is a social contract determined by individuals aligned with those in their network. With respect to virtual supervisory meetings, the usability of various virtual meeting tools that seem less efficient at the start will improve with their continual usage by both the supervisor and the student. As per the theory again, video conference is second to face-to-face and ahead of audio system and text system in that order respectively. The strength of channel expansion theory is its ability to cover a broader scope of media types. Channel expansion theory also takes into consideration the organizational context, as well as the relationship between experience and perceived richness. is easily understood, that is in temporal order. Critics of channel expansion theory argue that there is not enough evidence to show that the messaging topic is a significant predictor of media richness. The theory is relevant in virtual supervisory meetings because it can be used to convey a clear message on the essential elements in managing meetings within doctoral studies with the objective of selecting a specific type of communication media. The actors in virtual doctoral supervision activity can get the important message if consistent virtual meetings are conducted so that all participants move at the same pace in the learning curve for the type of channel that are employed. Channel expansion theory makes it clear that by using a particular virtual communication media, it's manageable to expand the bandwidth of this type of channel, that increasing their level of application and the potential for reliable virtual meetings. That is the theory behind virtual meetings. So I carried out a research to develop strategy for managing virtual meeting. The research data was collected between 1st and 15th of October, the year 2020. That is when we were at the peak of COVID-19. We had the challenges of engaging learners, and therefore I decided to carry out a research. I used online survey that allowed mapping of attitude, values, opinion, preferences, and skills of doctoral students in relation to virtual meetings, in which ICT support and the available ICT infrastructure in the university were used. Focus group discussion was used to refine the proposed strategy for managing virtual supervisory meetings. The participant in the focus group discussion consisted of 2 communication experts, 2 IT experts, and 2 researchers. The focus group discussion resulted in a documented consensus on the category of strategies required to optimize virtual supervisory meeting. So, combining media-rich theory, channel expansion theory, and research data, I formulated the strategy for virtual meeting management. So the strategy has 6 directions: management of risk, virtual meeting etiquette, engagement, supervisory relationship, confidentiality, and after the meeting follow-up. So management risks, that means there are risks associated with the process of virtual online engagement or virtual engagement. And therefore, these risks need to be known in advance and mitigated or addressed. For participants in the virtual meetings, again, they need to behave well and maintain an atmosphere of peace where everybody, the supervisor, the co-supervisor, sometimes if it is several supervisors, the supervisors and the students feel comfortable. Engagement, this is a two-way communication where the supervisor or the supervisory team is able to communicate to the supervisees in two-way communication. A theory that is used here is known as dialogic theory of communication, where there is that dialogue, two-way, to and fro. The other thing about supervisor is that the relationship need to be good. Student and the supervisor need to strike a rapport. They need to understand each other and to be on the same wavelength for the supervisor to be able to execute the expectations of the supervisory process. Confidentiality, again, the information being shared. There should be intellectual property and confidentiality. And then after the meeting, follow up. After the engagement, the agreed upon activities, how are they handled? So let me look at them one by one. So the first one is management of the risk. Rehearse with the chosen technology in advance. There are very many technologies that are in use. Depending on the supervisory style, the model being used, and the media, guided by the media richness theory and channel expectancy, the supervisor or the group of supervisors and the group of students will agree on which technology to use. Once they've agreed, they need to rehearse, try out with technology. There are several technology. For this particular one, we are using Zoom, but then there are others. There are those who are comfortable with Zoom, but then Zoom has its own restrictions. You have to pay, and then the number of participants, the storage capacity, and so on. So in not all situations will use Zoom. There's Big Blue Button, there's Google Meet, there is a Microsoft, we have Teams, we have Adobe Meetings, and so on. So the best practice is that the participant rehearse with the technology in advance. They should know how to use the tools. For example, if you look at Zoom at the top or at the bottom, depending on your setup, there is the mute, there is the video, participants, chat, share, pause, annotate, remote control, app, and many other. So good practice, the participants need to understand the environment. They do that through rehearsing. Can request a member or a colleague so that you rehearse in advance and you know how to use the platform so that there is little downtime as you try to navigate. The second risk management approach is join the meeting 15 minutes before the start time to have time for testing the microphone and the camera. Like this one, I think I joined within 15 minutes so that I try everything out. When I joined first, I saw people, but people are not talking. So I was not sure if it was my mic or my volume. So I exited and joined, and I think somebody noticed and talked to me and told me that we shall start at 2. Okay, that is your time. My time here, that was to be 11:30. So join the meeting 15 minutes before to have time to test technology. Technology fails sometimes. Confirm the time of the meeting in time. I think this one was confirmed through the menu, not the menu, but the program. It was at 2 Indian time, but then I have to confirm with my time, because if I don't confirm and I go by 2, and by the time it is 2 here in Kenya, in India, it will be 4:30. So it's good to confirm in time confirm the time of the meeting. Have a fallback option. For example, where I am here, I'm using Wi-Fi by the service provider, the home fiber. But if power goes off, the fiber, the internet will go, connectivity. So I need fallback, which is my phone and the data. In case it goes, then I'll use that. Participant to have at least one backup system at their disposal. If you're using a laptop, they need to have their phone at their disposal so that in case something happened to the laptop, either it starts updating. Sometimes you put it on and it's updating, and updating takes time. and you are having real-time communication. So you need at least a backup. That is with respect to management of risk. Virtual meeting etiquettes. The meeting should start in time and end on time, because in the supervisory activity or process, there are several meetings and people get to learn. If they know the meeting starts in time and ends in time, they'll spare that time. But if there is a delay, they will delay. And that delay will be a downtime to other participants who join the meeting early. Put on your camera. I forgot to put on mine, but it's a good practice so that the people see the speaker. Be present, don't work on other tasks or stare at your phone. Sometimes, because it's virtual, participants do other things other than concentrating on the task on the screen. And then the last one, turn on your microphone when not talking so that you don't interrupt the ongoing engagement. Now, this is to add on to the normal etiquettes of a face-to-face meeting. Things like having your phone off. This is to add on those ones for face-to-face. Engagement is the third one. Engagement is important because it is at the core of learning. When you engage, your brain processes the information. Engagement is not just listening, but it goes beyond listening and seeing. It involves engaging the mind, engaging the brain for long-term storage. So, from my study, engagement has around 9 aspects. Employ a combination of shared space. Of course, this is virtual, but create that atmosphere that you are at the same virtually, you're in the same virtual space. Share a planned agenda prior to the meeting for academic supervisory or doctoral supervisory. Every meeting, depending on the schedule, has the agenda. So let the learner or the student and the co-supervisor know the agenda in advance so that they prepare their contribution. So share a planned agenda prior to the meeting so that people prepare. When they are prepared, they will receive the information that is being communicated well. It fits into the gap they have, and they can also engage. They can talk and respond back because they've gone through the information, they understand. The next one, agree on ground rules to guide the virtual meeting. Again, just like physical meeting, there are ground rules which are agreed upon between the supervisor and the supervisees. There are ways of setting up. It can come from them, or the supervisor can have them, depending on the approach. The best way is when all the participants on the ground rules. It is them who propose or suggest and on them, and they guide well. Be courteous to other participants. If you don't agree with the participants' contribution, appreciate and put your disagreement or diverging view in a professional and polite way. Ask the students to contribute. If you shared the planned agenda, they understand what is to be discussed. Now they have to contribute. Two-way communication, you communicate and they contribute. Be engaging. If it is a group, engage the individual participants. Ask probing questions, ask for reactions, ask for feedback. If the engagement is going to take long, like 2 hours, take breaks. The current learners or the current students, they have short span concentration. They easily get bored very fast. And therefore, you take a break. Participant to consider using headset or headphone. Sometimes if the equipment they are using are not very sensitive, headphone, handset could assist in enhancing the quality of conversation and engagement. And then participants to speak slowly and clearly because it's online. And because of our different language backgrounds, some people speak English very fast. Some people speak slowly. But to carry everybody on board, it's advisable to speak slowly and clearly. I don't know if I'm doing the same, but it's important that you speak slowly and clearly. And then supervisory relationships. The supervisor has several roles in the supervisory process. He's supposed to be a mentor. He's supposed to be a career guide. He's supposed to help the student socially. Okay, time and again, students have problems, challenges are there, ranging from financial, time, family, and so on. This can be done through supervisory relationship. The supervisor needs to have a rapport with the people he's supervising. So for an virtual meeting, have a small talk before coming to the main point. Just find out how the students are, how they are doing. Are they enjoying their stay wherever they are? How is the family? Yeah, that one creates a connection between the supervisor and the students. They connect. So have a small talk before starting, just to find out how they are doing, make them comfortable. Begin your virtual meeting with a quick check-in. Yeah. Is the attendance full? Did they get the communication? Did they get the program, the agenda, and so on? And then promote a safe virtual environment where everybody feels appreciated. Nobody is belittled. They feel appreciated. They are listened to. The environment should be moderated fairly based on the supervisory model and the approach. 2 supervisors to 1 student or 2 supervisors to a team. In all the cases, there is need for that safe virtual environment. Confidentiality. Ask for consent before recording the meeting. Like what I'm presenting. This is my information, my ideas, and everything. Now, just get the consent. Am I allowed to record for confidentiality? And maybe you can add how the information will be used. If you want to take photographs, then ask for consent so that they give the consent. If they're not comfortable, They don't participate in the photograph that is being taken. And many other, depending on the nature of what you are discussing. If there is intellectual property right, then it needs to be considered. After the meeting follow-up, check out the action items are in progress. How are they moving on? We held this meeting and we had the timeline. How much have you covered? Are you encountering any problem? In conclusion, despite the limitation of virtual meetings in comparison to face-to-face, this is with respect to doctoral supervision. Virtual meeting is the best option that supervisors can engage with their students in circumstances where face-to-face is not viable. And that's my presentation. Thank you for listening to me. I welcome interactions.